that's always been my biggest message, is to try to get people outside. The children's books that I illustrate and write are usually environmentally based. Any message I put out there, Instagram or with my books or my artwork, is usually to try to go outside and connect with nature, because I feel like that's a part of ourselves that we've really disconnected with over the last 150 years. Like, we just don't connect with the outside in a way that we used to.
Welcome to the Ultra Running Summit Series. I'm your host, Eric Bromell, and my guest today is Kelly Halpin. Kelly grew up next to Grand Teton National Park with the mountains and forest as her playground. She spent her early years climbing, hiking, and snowboarding the Teton Range. Today, Kelly is an avid mountain runner, adventurer, and merging her passions for climbing and exploring remote and wild places. She also enjoys challenge of pushing herself mentally through difficult endurance feats. How are you today, Kelly?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome.
It's okay here in BC right now. Like, I haven't actually gotten out running in a little while, so I'm feeling kind of anxious just because of the rain. It's kept me indoors. How's the weather in Wyoming? Is it? That's where you are?
I am. Yeah, I'm in Jackson, Wyoming. It's weird. We're having a very low snow year. Like
Oh,
everywhere
interesting.
else. It hasn't snowed in forever, so I haven't been out snowboarding, which is good for my running.
Yeah.
I've been out a lot. The trails are packed down, really packed down, because it hasn't snowed in like weeks.
Okay. And it's probably pretty sunny there, isn't it? Like, I grew up in the Midwest, so just a little bit northeast of you, and it's like always sunny days, 5 days a week. It's probably sunny there.
It's pretty, I don't know, it's been pretty cloudy. It was sunny the last week, and now it's pretty overcast.
Okay.
Also makes me not want to go snowboard.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, it's been sunny, some high pressure days.
Right on. So tell me how you first got into running and ultra running, and what was sort of your first race? Did you choose running, or do you feel like running chose you in some way?
Yeah, I actually have a really funny story about how I started running. I actually spent most of my life climbing, and I spent a lot of time in the mountains hiking and riding horses and snowboarding, but I never really ran. I played soccer, so I kind of, would run for soccer and frisbee, but yeah, running was always like this foreign thing. And I trail ran a little bit, but yeah, it was actually after I blew out my knee snowboarding, which was 7 years ago. Yeah, I blew out my knee, and I spent the season in my house basically while it snowed outside, and I started having these really vivid dreams about running in the mountains and like flying through these fields of wildflowers and over cliffs, and just traveling really fast through the mountains. And I was like, I think there's a part of me that really wants to start trail running again. Okay, I guess I'll start doing that. So yeah, the first year back from knee surgery was really hard. I had a lot of knee pain, and I kept trying to run, and it just kept hurting. So I had to keep holding off for like months and months. But yeah, finally I just started running, and then yeah, short runs turned into long runs, and I don't know. I love mountain running. I have to run outside. I love it.
Same here.
Yeah.
Not a treadmill runner?
Oh my God. I can sort of run on a treadmill, kind of, but I'll let you know a little secret, you and everyone else. Last winter I fell off of a treadmill running.
You did? Like the full face plant?
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like getting really into it. I was like, okay, I can do this. I can run inside on a treadmill. And yeah, I was just like closing my eyes, getting into this like really awesome song, and then bam, like
yeah.
And the worst was I stood up and I took a bow because I was in a gym.
Yeah.
Nobody saw me fall.
Oh, that's potential for like a viral video too.
I know. I was like, hello?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
You just have to go and check the security cameras at the gym just to watch it for yourself.
I know, right? Yeah, no, but treadmills, I prefer, I prefer not treadmills, but
Same here. I prefer trails over road, and I almost never use the treadmill. It's funny
Yeah.
too. We have a very interesting story about getting into running too. I had the same like soccer to a snowboarding injury kind of background that pushed me into running.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
the
Do
only
you
one.
think that it's like it was a dream that inspired you to run? So do you think that's somehow like a purpose for you in life that you've chosen? Or do you think that that's something that's more been influenced to you by external sources of some kind?
Well, I think it's more like, I've always really loved being outside my entire life. I
Hmm.
think more like running is the best vehicle for me to use to get outside. Does that
Same
make sense?
here. Yeah, like I feel like on foot I can explore some just terrain that otherwise is inaccessible.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're just like touching the ground, with your feet. It's just like a very one-on-one
Yeah.
experience.
Have you
Um,
pushed it as far as barefoot running at all yet?
I've run barefoot
Yeah.
before. I haven't done like long distance barefoot running.
Yeah, I've just been doing some laps around the track lately, and it's changing my training system for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, like I had some really bad habits running, and I went to Eric Orton, who's a local running legend here in Jackson.
Yeah, I
Um,
recognize the name.
yeah, he's a good dude. I went to him, and he was like, "Take off your shoes," and I was like, "Okay, now go run." And I was like, "Okay." And well, a little more complicated than that, but basically, he had me run around barefoot for a long time. It completely changed the way that I run, and now I'm not in pain anymore, which is awesome because I had some bad habits that were causing some pain in my legs. But
Yeah, just structural things like how you place your feet, right? That you with shoes you never even think about it.
right, yeah, 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 it was incredible. So yeah, I think if you have tough feet, go for it if you can run barefoot.
Yeah.
uh, get kind of tricky in the Tetons here with all of our sharp granite and dolomite, but you know.
Yeah, it's a challenge getting on the trails. I don't do trail running barefoot yet. I'm not quite there yet. It's pretty rocky here in Vancouver too.
Yeah.
Um, Kind of taking the interview in a bit of a sharp turn here, but do you think running has a spiritual aspect to you in some way? Do you feel like it connects you with a higher power of some kind?
Um, I I'm not. I would say yeah. I'm spiritual. I'm not really religious, and I'm spiritual in the sense that I believe in the power of like the earth.
Okay.
So since I use running as a way to get outside, and it's also a way to meditate, yeah,
Yes.
I do think it's spiritual in that way for sure.
Yeah, I
It's
completely agree.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a way to be outside, to be kind of at peace, to be in harmony with yourself. Hopefully, you're in harmony with the terrain you're on, and you're not trying to fight it too hard. Yeah, and then you get into that really nice flow state when you're out there, especially if you're out there for like hours and hours. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, there's a whole treating the running space like a Zen space too that I'm kind of adopting now, and it's like the whole methodology of leave nothing behind, right? Like leave no trash. It's the same as the place that I meditate in my house. I don't want to litter there and leave it all disorganized and stuff. So it's to me it's bigger than just like don't litter because it's bad for the environment. It's like don't litter because that's your Zen space that you're going to, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, no, the mountains are definitely a sacred space, as are all trails, or anything outside.
Yeah. So you meditate, you mentioned, do you practice anything other that you would consider like mental training, like Tai Chi or Qigong or even yoga, I guess has some mental aspects to it?
Yeah, I actually just came from yoga this morning. Yeah, I practice meditation. I really like yoga. I haven't been as good about meditation lately, but I actually was just talking to some people this morning about doing some group meditations like later this week. So
Cool.
um, yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely practice. Any way to like kind of quiet your mind, and I guess without sounding like too hippie, like expand it in good ways, healthy
Yeah.
ways.
And you find that comes into play when you're on sort of a long distance race. It keeps you engaged for longer. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, any way to strengthen your mind. I mean, sports are. Oh gosh, I'm totally forgetting the ratio now, but people say like it's 10% physical, 90% mental, or maybe like, I can't remember. Don't quote me on
Yeah.
that.
That's what
I'm saying, like, there's a huge part of it that's mental.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to explore with this whole summit series. Is just like everyone tells me, I haven't run a 100-mile race yet, but everyone tells me like it's like to get to 65 miles, that's physical training, but to get from 65 to 100 miles is like it's all mental. You just have to like train yourself to be in the zone and stay in the zone and keep going and use your, some people call it prana, some people just call it energy reserves, or somehow you channel the energy from your mind into your body. And it's my belief that meditation can help with that.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Tell me about your race history. Like you've run quite a few ultras in the last couple of years.
I've run some. I'm mostly an adventure runner. That's more what I pursue. I like racing a lot. I think it's really fun. I think it's a great way to like get to meet people and to challenge yourself in a way that you wouldn't if you're just out on the trails by yourself. But I'm actually pretty new to racing. I just started racing 2 years ago, actually. And I did a mountain marathon. I got third place, and I was like, oh my God, this is like the funnest thing I've ever done. Okay, cool. And then my next race was an ultra, and I got fifth, and I was super pumped, and it was just like such a fun experience. And I did a couple races this last year, had a great time. Had one race where I kind of had a blowout, but I did finish.
What happened there?
I'm not actually sure. It's sort of like my lower half, like from my hips down, seized up, and I couldn't move my joints anymore. And this was at maybe, what was I doing? I was doing a 50K, and it was probably at mile 12 or something. Everything just kind of seized up and locked up, and my ankles, my knees, my hips, everything was just like Tin Man style. And I didn't know what to do. I was going to drop out at the next aid station. And then I was like, you know what? Forget about the fact that you're trying to like, place well, and just walk for a while, and maybe you can come out of this. And after a mile of like still kind of like hobbling, I was like, man, and all these girls were just like passing me, and I was like, I was getting so bummed out. You know how hard it is when you're running, like you're doing it well, and suddenly, people just start like flying by you. It's so disheartening. And I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to like experience running on this mountain. Who cares if it's a race or not? I'm going to, try to like finish this if I can. And I met up with some other people on the trail who I didn't know before, but I just met them because they were also hurting. And we just started talking to each other, and eventually everything sort of softened, and I could start running again. And I still ended up placing top 10 in the end, which was nice.
Well, right on.
Yeah, it sucked. Like it was a hard couple of miles there where I was just like walking and struggling and was planning on dropping out. I almost called my trainer on the phone to be like, can you talk me out of this, please?
Yeah.
Like I'm hurting so bad. I was hydrated. I had enough electrolytes, I haven't figured it out yet, but something just didn't work that day. And
yeah. When you called your trainer, would you say it's about at the 40% mark that you called, before or after 40%?
40%
complete of the race.
Yeah. I didn't end up calling him, but I thought about.
Okay. I've read this theory that if you can complete 40% of something, then mentally you've already completed 90%, because they say starting anything is half the battle, right?
For sure. Yeah.
So this just starting is 50. And then when you get to 40, if you add half plus 40%, that's 90%. So that last little bit of the race, that last 10% is actually, or the last 10% mentally is actually 60% of the race.
Oh, awesome. All right. I'm going to keep that. Yeah. Starting's always the hardest.
Yeah, it's just a theory I came up with because I had a similar breakdown in one of my marathons last year, and I got to 40% and my mind clicked and was like, I'm doing this, like pain or no pain, I'm going.
Yeah, love it. Awesome. Yeah.
So,
I actually do a lot of mental training with pain too. Kind of visualization work where if a certain body part is hurting, I kind of turn the thermostat down. Like I visualize a thermostat and I'm like, okay, I'm at like 10,
yeah.
maybe I'll bring it down to 8. I'll turn it
Okay.
to 5. And it actually, if you practice it enough, it actually helps and you stop feeling, as much pain. Or I visualize a color. Like if my knees were hurting, I imagine that my body is sort of blue, except for my knees, and they're kind of like bright red. And then as I like breathe in and out, I kind of imagine the blue part of me, which doesn't hurt, kind of taking over the red and washing it out. And every step that I take and every, breath that I take, I kind of wash it out. And that helps alleviate pain too.
Wow, that's really interesting. I've never thought of that color association before, but it makes perfect sense. Because
Yeah,
a lot of the whole chakra energy balance in the body that yogis often talk about is color associated. It goes from red to purple as you move upward through your chakra column.
yeah.
So it could just be channeling different energy sources from different chakras in your body and moving it to whatever pain is causing you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I did energy kind of visualization work like that too after I had knee surgery because I just had this block in my knee that it just wasn't healing. And yeah, I actually got a lot better after I started working with the visualization on that.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened in your knee? Was it like a full tear or was it just sort of a
Yeah, I blew my ACL. Not
okay.
cool. I was just snowboarding and fell in a weird way, not a very
Yeah.
after
Yeah,
I'd already
my
pillows and everything too. I was like, oh man, that was the sickest run I've ever done. Those pillows are like, and then I was like rolling back into the resort and I just like fell on the cat track. It's like the lamest thing ever.
yeah. That's the same with my injury too. It happened on a cat track, somebody passes you on the wrong side and it just like shocks you and you fall over and damn.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, cat tracks. Those are the worst. They're the worst. You're sneaky little buggers.
Yeah. What do you eat mostly? Like, do you have any dietary preferences and what sort of fuel do you use mostly especially when it comes to running? What's your ideal fuel type?
Well, in general, I'm not super strict about what I eat, but I do eat healthy. I try to eat local. I try not to eat a lot of beef. I'll eat red meat, but it's usually elk or venison.
Okay.
But also for environmental reasons, I try not to eat like beef is such a huge impact on the environment. Yeah, I kind of eat paleo-ish. I'll try to just eat vegetables and meat. I eat high fat and I don't really eat a lot of dairy. I put cream in my coffee, but besides that, I try not to eat dairy. And for races, usually the day before, I'll kind of carb up on sweet potatoes and brown rice
Okay.
and proteins that are easier to digest, like chicken
Okay.
or beans and eggs.
And then at aid stations, what do you tend to go for?
Salt,
Yeah.
pickles, chips.
Okay.
I'll grab M&Ms if there's M&Ms available, but unless I'm racing, I don't really eat a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
I don't really like sugar anymore. I like honey. I eat a lot of raw honey. I'm not gonna lie, I've got a serious honey problem. I have like 8 jars of raw honey, but I don't really like candy. I don't like ice cream. I don't really like cake. So really the only time I'll grab sweet things is if, I'm in the middle of a race and I just need that like super fast energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, M&Ms while I'm racing at aid stations, definitely grab those. But I prefer chips and pickles and chicken broth. If there's like bone broth, oh my God.
Yeah.
Actually, when I do big endurance stuff in the Tetons, I'll carry chicken broth with me.
Yeah, just like a can of it that you can just pop open, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's even better than a Gatorade.
Oh my God, it's so good. I'm like, oh, this is the best. Especially those little, who makes it? One of those organic companies makes these tiny little single serving broths that have ginger and lemongrass in them. The one with the ginger, especially when you're like at altitude and you're kind of nauseous.
Right on.
Oh yeah, that stuff's dank.
Yeah, ginger's good.
Oh,
I bought this ginger tea. It's just 100% ginger, and I love it. It just wakes me right up.
oh my gosh, it's so good. I love ginger tea. Mm. Oh, and in the morning I'll drink lemon water with turmeric and pepper in them, and with warm water. It's a good way to.
Okay. I
Lemon
thought
juice is really good for you in the morning.
lemon juice?
Yeah, like fresh lemon juice and water. It's good for hydration. It's good for fighting inflammation. It's good for your skin. It helps prevent kidney stones. I mean, there's like 5,000 benefits of drinking lemon water.
Cool. I'm gonna start just putting a drop, like an ounce in my tea or something like that.
Yeah,
Just mixing
yeah,
it
it's
in.
great. Yeah, it's a really good way to start the day. I try to drink it before I drink coffee in the morning. I'm like, I can't have my coffee till I drink like 16 ounces of
Lemon water. Is
water.
that one of the habits you rely on, like daily? Like if you wake up, your mind immediately is like, that's a habit that I'm gonna go and do.
Yeah, it's great though. It really like it just feels good. It's a good way to like get hydrated right away, because when you're sleeping, I mean, you're going what, like 8 hours without drinking anything.
Hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, I am terrible. Is everyone watching? I'm terrible at drinking water. I
Yeah.
am chronically dehydrated. I am awful at it. But I will drink warm lemon water and I'll drink herbal tea all day long. So
Yeah. I'm good at drinking the tea. The water usually does get me. When I go and drink water, it's like I'll fill up my 750 milliliter bottle and just chug the whole thing, and then I'll put it down and I won't think about it for 2 hours.
oh no, yeah. I do that when I'm working. I'm like, if I have like a glass of water next to me, I don't touch it. But if it's tea, I'm like, oh, it's so warm. Like I can't
Yeah.
stop drinking. Like, this is
My
cool.
hands are cold, so I just hold the tea in my hands and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what are
totally.
some of the other habits you rely on, like daily basis, if there's 5 or 6 habits that you have to hit on either in the morning or when you finish work or something like that?
Let's see. Okay, lemon water. Coffee's a bad habit. I'm not going to count that. I stretch. I try to make sure I stretch every day. I try to do plank work every day, like maybe 5 minutes of planks every day.
Cool.
Um, I do heel raises every day, or I'm supposed to. Try to keep my ankles strong and my calves strong.
Okay.
And helps with your balance too. And I try to get a lot of sleep at night. Right now on my bedtime setting on my iPhone, I try to get 9 hours of sleep a night in the winter. So that's definitely a habit I try to rely on. And I don't really drink too much alcohol. So I guess that's a habit,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's a solid habit to have.
Yeah, I love red wine though. I definitely I indulge in some red wine for sure. But yeah, I try not to ever have more than like 2 or even 3 drinks even if I'm going big.
Yeah.
You know, New Year's I had 4 drinks on New Year's. That was like going big.
Yeah. That's a big night though. I mean, that's a once in a while kind of thing. You just have to
Yeah,
forgive yourself for those days and then move on, right?
for sure. Oh yeah. Well, you gotta
Yeah.
let loose sometimes. It's like balance.
Yeah. I'm big into habits. Like I wrote a small book about the 10 that I rely on. It's like there's 10 habits that I do every single day and then 10 habits that I don't. And they're really similar to yours. Like I
Oh,
try to avoid drinking coffee. I try to sleep 8 or 9 hours. I try to stretch every day. And just other things like I quit drinking actually completely. It's
that's
out of
awesome.
my,
Good for you.
yeah, it's not been an easy road for me, but that's sort of it's kind of one of the things that steered me towards running. So I try to stick with that now, but I'm not so stuck on my habits that I can't kind of fit in a fun day here and there just to break free from them.
It's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So do you feel like running, or I know we talked about sort of the running community and how it helped you out in that race with your meltdown there, some other runners that you met. The running community is a huge part of it. It's one of the things that I absolutely love about this sport. And in ultras, it just seems like there's even more people that are out there that want to connect with you and just meet up with you on the trail and just chat for a few miles. Do you feel like running and your involvement in the running community has helped you change the world in any way?
Oh man. Well, I mean, I always hope that, you know, health habits inspire people. And I feel like the running community is like, you know, one of the healthiest communities there is, which is great. And, yeah, gosh, it's a good question there.
Like with every race that we'll enter, there's always it seems like every race you pay your fee to enter, right? There's always a portion of it that goes to charity. So I
Right.
always feel great knowing that's going to charity.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But
Um,
even just inspiring other people with what you do is changing the
yeah,
world.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I would love to, you know, feel like I'm inspiring people to get outside, and even if it's just going for a walk, you know,
Hmm.
because not everyone can go running, you know, whether you're, you know, just not in the right shape or you have a physical disability that'll keep you from running, like at least go outside, you know, if you can access that. I think that's always been my biggest message, is to try to get people outside. The children's books that I illustrate and write are usually environmentally based. And yeah, I try to, any message I put out there, Instagram or with my books or my artwork, is usually to try to go outside and connect with nature, because I feel like that's a part of ourselves that we've really disconnected with over the last, you know, 150 years.
Hmm.
And like, we just don't connect with the outside in a way that we used to. And I
Yeah.
feel like I'm kind of responsible for, you know, our, you know, not being associated with like the environment anymore, and a lot of other like disabilities. And
Certainly there are lots of people who are trapped inside. They're trapped in cities. They're disconnected and cut off almost entirely from nature.
yeah,
And even just the landscape photos that you take in the Teton Range there is like, they're beautiful, and you share that with the world and inspire people to potentially go there and hike those trails themselves, right?
I hope so. I hope I get people at least outside on in their backyard, if anything.
Yeah.
Or even to, like, you know, start using reusable grocery bags, or even reusing a Ziploc bag, or reusing a disposable coffee cup, you know, something
Yeah.
simple. Anything really.
Yeah.
Anything makes
Switching to one of those reusable thermoses or something like.
absolutely. Yeah. Not using straws anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm actually probably going to do like an Instagram post or story this week on like all these little tiny habits you can pick up to, you know, have an impact on the environment in a positive way.
Yeah. There's tons of them that people can incorporate into their lives too. Like it's as simple as getting a coffee thermos that has a clip on it. You clip it onto your bag, and anytime you want to stop for a coffee, it's like, you don't even have to think about it. Your cup's right there. You can fill up, and then you're done away with paper cups.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last time I used a plastic grocery bag was like, I think it's 9 years ago now. I was dating this guy who worked for Knowles, and he was like, "Why are you using a plastic bag?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I guess I could use a reusable one." And it was just as easy as that. You just keep your reusable bags in your car, and they're right there. And
Yeah.
you, sure.
Yeah, it's as simple as just making the habit accessible to yourself. Like that's what I always tell people is like, some people say to me like, "Oh, I don't know how to get into meditation, or I don't know how to get into running." And I just say like, it starts with just 15 minutes a day. Make it super accessible for yourself. Like have your space set up, ready to go, so that you can just walk in, sit down, good to go. It's the same with the grocery bags. If they're right there as soon as you're taking the key out of the ignition, then you just grab the bags and you go shopping.
It's right there. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a great thing to tell people about meditation too, or anything. It just take a few minutes, you know.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a huge commitment at first. That's what I always say is like, just start small. Start with like a little manageable habit, and then just scale it up from there, just a little
Yeah.
bit by bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of all the questions I was hoping to ask you in this interview. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I
What are you working on right now, like project wise?
adventure project wise,
Yeah,
or
like races you're training for, or books that you're writing and illustrating.
um, well, work wise, since I'm going to go do that after this interview, I'm finally picking up on a kid's book that I wrote 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, I did half the illustrations for them, and then I got busy with other projects that were actually paid projects. So I
Okay.
on the back burner. And now I'm picking that up again, and it's a book about kind of a maybe a post-apocalyptic future where nobody goes outside anymore, and this kid discovers the last forest that exists on the planet.
Whoa.
Awesome experience. So
that would be amazing.
yeah. So that's coming soon. And yeah, my goals for this next year, I've got some really fun ones. I'm trying to go run in Africa if I can.
Cool.
Africa's the last continent I have to visit, and I'd love to go trail run in South Africa or Madagascar. So I'm talking to a couple friends right now, seeing what's going to work and what's not going to work. See if we can make this thing a reality. Potentially going back to Patagonia next winter. So next year, 2018 winter.
Cool.
And I've got some projects in the Wasatch, some big trails I want to run there. I might run the Sierra High Route with my friend Ryan.
Where's the Wasatch?
In Salt Lake.
Okay, Utah. Cool.
Yeah, sorry, Utah. Yeah, some big adventure runs there. Just trying to link up a bunch of peaks too.
Yeah. Link up with lots of community members too. By the sounds of it, you got friends all over the world.
I love it. That's my favorite part about like adventures is like bringing your friends along. I mean, It's really cool like mentally to be able to push yourself when you're by yourself doing some of these like either races or adventures, or just any big runs. But honestly, like all my best moments in the last, a couple of years, I'd say like the last decade have all been adventures with other people.
Cool.
To experience that and kind of like push yourselves through the pain together.
Yeah.
To have those moments where like someone's crying and like sitting on the ground and the other person's like, no, like we can do this. And then like at some point your roles are reversed and it's just cool. Like you become really vulnerable and it's a really cool way to like open up.
And you get those authentic like pep talk motivational speeches where you just get to like dig your friend out of the dirt and just like say exactly all the things that are running through your mind and just give them the most passionate speech ever.
Yes, exactly.
If you ever make it out to the coastal mountains in the next couple of years, let me know. We could go run together. I'll be out here in BC. Yeah.
That would be awesome. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I've got big plans this year too. Like I'm signed up for 3 ultras already in the next 6 months.
Which ones?
I'm doing the Diaz Vista. And then I'm doing one that's put on just by a local shop called Mountain Equipment Co-op here in BC. And the other one's called Buck and Hell, they're all 55K races in North Vancouver.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that'll be so fun. Stuff to look forward to.
Yeah. I'll be releasing this in April, so I'll definitely keep you posted on that. And thanks for being here with us today. Thanks for answering all my questions and being such a great interviewer.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.